I want to talk about one of the most toxic and dangerous practices in the music industry and my experiences with it this week and how I'm just reassessing everything. What is this practice I'm talking about? It's the dreaded turn and burn. The turn and burn is driving a far distance to a gig. I would say anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, playing that gig, turning around, driving back. This often equates to driving through the night and getting home after the sun comes up. And after talking about this with several friends, I have no gauge about what to think about it. Me personally, I try to avoid it at all costs. I think it's wildly unsafe. Professional truck drivers aren't allowed to do this. So why should a musician be able to play a gig and then drive through the night, probably after they've ingested lots of caffeine, nicotine, other substances? What makes that musician more qualified than a professional driver? It's also extremely unhealthy. I know we all drive in shifts, but if you've ever tried sleeping upright in a car, in a truck, in a van, it's not very easy. Even if you're like laying down on a bench, it messes up your sleep cycle, and I think that is wildly important to our health and the longevity of our careers. For me, I look at it in the big picture. I might be able to do this for a weekend, but I'll pay the price. If I make a regular habit of it, it's going to affect my health. Musicians tend to burn out younger because so much of what we are exposed to in our work and lifestyle is not in our best interest. And we have to work really hard to avoid those pitfalls. They tend to have more health problems. And I don't think anybody particularly loves doing the turn and burns. No one celebrates it. Why do people do it? I think there's a lot of reasons. You could be on a DIY tour and maybe you overextended yourself, or maybe that's just the way the logistics ended up. Sometimes it's about money. You need to work as much as possible, or you just can't find a hotel, or you can't afford a hotel. Sometimes you just need to keep working to keep the lights on. Just the cost of doing business. And I view this as stepping over a stack of $100 bills to pick up a handful of quarters. In other words, I think this practice works against our best interests. It's short-sighted. But then I also started thinking, maybe I'm the one who's being short-sighted. Maybe I'm stepping over the stacks of dollar bills to pick up those handful of nickels. Because so much of what I want to do in my career, I need to invest in relationships with people. I need to be easy to work with. I need to be agreeable, and I need to compromise. And those were things that I didn't do when I was younger and held me back. And quite honestly, I'm not sure how to approach this one. Now that I had a second chance at music and I've re-entered the industry, I've reframed my thinking. And after all, sometimes you just gotta get down in the trenches and pay your dues, build your network to climb up the ladder. And really, this is where it gets complex. At the bottom of this, I think all of this is driven by economic anxiety. We sacrifice so much. Quite frankly, musicians are underpaid. We are exploited for this job, for this career, for this life, because we love it. And we're willing to do more for less. We're willing to do some crazy things to chase a dream. And I can't knock anybody for that. I can knock the people who exploit musicians. We need to be paid better, but that's another conversation for another day, and that's a pretty big can of worms. We're not gonna get to that here. There's also this fear of saying no, that you have to say yes to every opportunity. That if you stop saying yes to gigs, you'll stop getting calls. That you never know when your work is going to dry up, so you need to cook while the pan is hot. Part of that's economic anxiety, and then part of that is people just wanting a career, wanting to build their name, and I get that. Who's right? What's right in this situation? What's the solution? Should we just stop doing this? And for me, I think it all boils down to intentions. What's your intention for your career? What are you trying to accomplish? If you're an original band chasing a dream, sometimes you gotta do those things and realize that at this level, we need to get through these tough stages so we can get to that next level. So we can eventually get a bus and a driver and have bunks. What if you're a supporting musician, like myself, a drummer? Again, it all depends. Am I working with an artist that I really want to invest into? Am I part of the team? Or is this just a job? Is this just a gig? And if so, is drawing my boundaries, is that going to hurt me building my network? Is that going to give me a bad name, a bad rep? Or is being clear and upfront with my expectations, is that going to help me avoid some difficult situations? I really don't know. What I can tell you is that this week, when I was doing a turn and burn, I didn't know that it was on the table going into it. I thought that we were just going to leave the next morning. I also know that if I would have put up a fight or a stink about it, we would have stayed that night. But I also really enjoyed the people I was playing with. I really respected the people I was playing with. And I know if I would have asked them to do it and say, I really need this, they would have done it for me. And there was someone in the group that really needed it. And was I upset about it? No, I didn't enjoy it, but I don't think anybody did. And I'd go to the mat for them because I know that they would do the same for me. And when I'm treated with respect, when I'm treated with kindness, when I'm welcomed in, I want to return that to people. That's just who I am. Also, I want to try to avoid situations like this. And here's why. I think we can really build the future that we want if we put our minds to it as individuals. So many of us are passively waiting for a future to happen. We are hoping that someday we will get what we want. Someday we will get that call. And you know what? That call isn't coming. It's right now. And you can decide, this is the future that I want. And I'm going to start living and creating it. Instead of waiting for it to happen, you have to make it happen. Doesn't mean it's easy. But if you say, you know what? I'm no longer doing any of these closing shifts in town. I'm not playing till 3 in the morning. You might miss out on a few opportunities, sure. But you're creating a future that you want where you don't have to do those things because you found your lane, which is what you want to do. If you don't want to do turn and burns, cool. Doesn't mean it happens like that. But I believe if you set out your intentions and make all your decisions based around, is this serving my goals? Is this serving my wants and needs? It makes things a lot easier for you to decide. Doesn't mean those decisions are easy, but you have a compass to follow. And it also gives you direction for where you really want to go and where you want to invest your efforts. So I don't have any answers, any solutions. In the context of me, it's what kind of reality do I want to create for myself? What kind of future do I want to create? Because I can do that. It doesn't mean it's easy, but having my intentions and following them and making my decisions based on them really helps. That's one reason why I journal every day, so I can be reminded, what am I working towards? Is this serving what I want? And part of my stress this weekend was, okay, I'm going to have to get back and edit this video on Sunday and have something up Monday morning. I also realized, you know what? It doesn't matter. I like to stick to Monday, Wednesday, Friday for postings and be consistent with it, and it is something I committed to. But sometimes doing YouTube is that stack of quarters. The pile of $100 bills, it's relationships, it's working on music, it's investing my energy into things that maybe not get that immediate payoff, may not get that like or that follow or subscribe right away, but it's ultimately building a career for myself. I'm not sure what the answers are, and I'm not beating myself up over it, because this weekend, I really enjoyed the people I was playing with. It was tough and it was long, and they probably all agreed. But they're all great people. I didn't want to make my thoughts or feelings on the turn and burn. I said, I don't like doing this. I don't want to do this. But if this helps you out, cool, I'll do it because everyone's been so cool to me. And I have no problem saying that publicly. And I really think having conversations about these things publicly is healthy. And if someone thinks that makes me difficult to work with, maybe we aren't a good fit. And really what I'm trying to do here is use myself as an example to give people food for thought, to give people permission to ask questions, to let people know that we all struggle with things that we don't agree with. We all have to make compromises. And it's not easy. And if you have questions or thoughts or feedback, put it in the comments. I answer them on my weekly live Q&As on Sundays. And if you would like, subscribe, follow, that would greatly help out this channel. We're also doing a push here where we're upgrading infrastructure so that I can live stream every gig, so that I can produce more content, so that I can actually build a dedicated space to creating not just musical content, but also interviews with other musicians. If you would like to see that, you can follow this channel, you can become a member. You can go to my profile page and click on the link up at the top where there's a PayPal option. You can Venmo Aaron Apter if you want to support this channel. But really, it's all for you. I hope I can create some things that give you food for thought and give you some direction in this very confusing world. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week.